My name is Emily Gregg. This video is for the purpose of my assignment over Respondeat Superior. The case citation will be included in a Word document submitted to the Dropbox. The basics of the case are sorry. The case is where a visiting nurse was walking down the corridor of a hospital and a student nurse was performing her duties at the hospital, was rushing through a swinging door which struck the visiting nurse in the back. The nurse sustained permanent physical injuries and sought damages from the hospital under the theory of Respondeat Superior. At trial, the evidence showed that the student nurse did not follow proper precautions before pushing the door. The jury found the student nurse was negligent and awarded damages to be paid by the hospital. The hospital appealed, claiming negligence and contributory negligence by the visiting nurse and immunity based on the hospital's charitable status. The court found no merit in the negligence arguments and affirmed the verdict. And so the court did not permit the charitable status to be used as a defense, but affirmed the verdict, finding the evidence sufficient to sustain the jury's finding in the first case. So this is an appeal. And the first case is basically the plaintiff is the visiting nurse and the defendant is the hospital. And the second case is the appeal of such, which was affirmed. The findings was affirmed in the first case. So the first question for the assignment is, what were the allegations against the defendant? So basically, it's negligence under the theory of Respondeat Superior. What is the employee alleged to have done that constituted negligence? Well, the employee was the nurse who was working for the hospital, going through a door without checking if there was anyone on the other side of that door, and not even giving time to slow down. To normally go through a door, you have to check. You have to know if something's on the other side of that door. Well, the nurse did not do that. The question is, was there any dispute that the alleged acts of the employee occurred within the course and scope of the employment? I don't believe there was. I believe that there was agreement that she was on duty and to go through a door was within the scope, and the negligence occurred whenever she did not slow down. So under Respondeat Superior, the hospital is liable. Imagine that you are an administrator at the defendant corporation. How would you have reacted when your company was first served with the lawsuit? Well, I'd hope that I would know ahead of time that my hospital was liable. But if I didn't know ahead of time and I didn't do this ahead of time, because if I knew, I would already be investigating this. I wouldn't wait until I'm served with the lawsuit, because then a lot of the initial evidence that maybe could help me and my corporation would be gone, because people forget things that happen. But if I knew because of a, I don't know, injury claim, or the nurse coming forth and saying, hey, this happened, then I would already be doing this. I wouldn't wait. But if I waited, what I would do um, is check to see my own hospitals and maybe each department proper procedures in going through a door. Maybe if there was any safety procedures that had to do with this, I would check what's on file, so I would know whether or not the nurse was trained. I would ask that the nurse do a report on exactly what happened as soon as possible. I would get anything I communicated to this nurse or the other nurse in writing or on video or recorded, because they can all affect whether I'm liable. What steps would you have taken to investigate? I would set up interviews. I would get copies of the procedure. I would take videos or pictures of the corridor where the nurse rushed through, see if maybe there were any signs that said watch or high trafficked area or anything that would have say, hey, we pointed to safety and the nurse acted outside the scope, because the scope is to follow safety. What policy or procedure changes, if anything, might you think implement that would prevent a similar occurrence in the future? Well, I think maybe a waiver for beginning employment, giving all the safety precautions, like how to go through a door, how to travel on an icy sidewalk, what to do if there's construction. Just the things that you don't think of as typical employment scope, but that are, because traveling and to and from departments or wherever you've got to go in the hospital, you need to do that safely. So patient safety department, I'd probably hand down a task of giving this safety brief, safety class, whatever you want to call it, to new employees. I would definitely have it in writing that there is proper procedures to do things like this. So anything I briefed them on, I would get in writing. And a policy or procedure change that I can think of is in high traffic areas where there's likely to be nurses as part of their scope hurrying through doors or hurrying down corridors. I would make that not a place for travelers, or if travelers are going to be there, I would definitely make them escorted by somebody that knows what to watch out for to help prevent stuff like this. this is the end of this video. My apologies for the lateness. I've been sick. I've not felt good. And I just now figured out how to get onto this court case thing. Thank you.